Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Operation Safe Corridor, OPSC, is a Nigerian military-led multi-agency initiative launched in 2015 to de-radicalize, rehabilitate, and reintegrate surrendered Boko Haram and ISWAP combatants. It operates as a non-kinetic strategy, offering vocational training and psychosocial support to low-risk combatants, with over 940 individuals successfully reintegrated into their communities as of 2021. Tonight, NTA Tuesday Live will focus on the prospects of Operation Safe Corridor. But before we go into the discussion, let's get to see this report put together by defense correspondent Ismail Musa.
Operation Safe Corridor is a federal government program established in 2015 to support the radicalization, rehabilitation, and reintegration of low-risk individuals. Low-risk individuals are people formerly associated with terrorist and violent extreme groups who voluntarily surrender. The initiative is part of Nigeria's non-kinetic counter-terrorism approach, complementing military operations by providing a structured pathway for individuals who disengage from violent extremists to return to peaceful life under supervision. Critical to Operation Safe Corridor's goal is to reduce the cycle of violence, support community stability, and above all, consolidate military gains achieved on the battlefield by combining justice and rehabilitation. Details from the corridor stress that individuals involved in heinous crime, leadership roles, or indoctrination are persecuted. However, records from conflict zones globally show that some of the members of the extreme groups are low-risk individuals forcibly recruited or abducted to provide supportive roles. The 24-week Operation Safe Corridor operates under a National Steering Committee chaired by the Chief of Defense Staff, implemented through a multi-agency structure involving more than 70 institutions. Features of the 6-month initiative includes security screening, psychological therapy, counter-ideology sessions, vocational training, literacy education, entrepreneurship skills, community sensitization, and formal handover to state governments. The program, established more than 10 years ago, has de-radicalized, rehabilitated, and reintegrated several individuals referred to as clients. Why are these individuals called clients? Is a 24-week session enough to de-radicalize these clients? There are allegations that the platform also serves as an avenue for security agencies' recruitment. What are the prospects of the graduate of the corridor? Answers to this and many more will be provided in today's edition of Tuesday Live.
All right, that report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let me introduce our guests. I'd like to welcome to NTA Tuesday Live the Director Defense Information, Major General Samaila Uba. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me also introduce the one who is the coordinator of the Operation Safe Corridor, Brigadier General Yusuf Ali. Thanks
you for having me, sir.
Here with us.
Thank you very much, sir.
And joining us tonight is a former Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Kukasheka Usman MNI, very regular guest on our programs here. Thank you for being with us once again.
Good evening, and thank you so much.
All right. Well, as with the nature of Tuesday Live, at the appropriate time, we'll go interactive. It means you can join in the conversation in the studio. But when it's that time, we'll remind you of the process and the procedure. For now, let's go into the discussion on Operation Safe Corridor, tackling security challenges in Nigeria. And easily from the background reports which we just saw, there were terms that were used in that report, and we might just start on that premise and clearly define the Operation Safe Corridor and why those who are under this operation are called clients? It's one of the questions posed in that report. So let's start with the Director of Defense Information, Major General Ismaila Uba. Why are they called clients, these individuals? And then we'll take other matters from there.
Oh, thank you very much. The essence of Operation Safe Corridor is rehabilitation. And why they are called clients is to ensure that the stigma and the memories of what they were prior to undergoing the program is removed. So it is not a punitive program, it's rehabilitative, and that is why an acceptable term is used. Instead of saying repentant terrorists or Boko Haram, the stigma sticks, and then it also reminds the client that he is still what he was before. But with the name client, it forms part of removing the memories of what he has been through from him. I think that is the major essence of why they have the client.
Easily emanating from that, would ask who qualifies to be a client? At what point do you determine that someone who's been associated with terrorist activities, or such activities, at what point do you determine that that person is low risk and they fall under the individuals who can become clients under the Operation Safe Corridor? Because I suppose that's what everyone will be asking. Once they hear anyone has been associated with terrorism, first thing is, how do you determine that they are low risk and they're not deeply involved?
I think I would like to make a clear distinction before I even come to determining who is a client and how do we come to categorize low risk, medium risk, and high risk. I want to make a clear distinction and make a statement concerning what I call kinetic operations and non-kinetic operations. Now, there is a lot of misconception about the role of the Nigerian Armed Forces. And I want to start on that premise to state clearly that the major work of the Nigerian Armed Forces is kinetic operations. And when I say kinetic operations, it is the use of military resources, the manpower, and all the equipment at our disposal to fight insurgency. And it has remained our major work. Operation Safe Corridor is a very minute, and I repeat, minute window, one of the non-kinetic means of combating terrorism. Now, a lot of misconception, like I said, people thinking that we are doing some amnesty. So I want to also say what Operation Safe Corridor is not. It is not an amnesty program. It is not a replacement for military kinetic actions. It is not also a program meant to give blanket forgiveness to terrorists. It does not replace the judicial system. Anybody who has any case to answer will answer for it. So what happens? Whenever we have surrendered terrorists, they are screened by the Ministry of Justice. The screening is done by the Ministry of Justice. And then what do? They employ all the security agencies, all the information available to all the security agencies and to locals to screen these surrendered terrorists. And that is where the classification comes. It is done by the Ministry of Justice. And when we talk about low-risk individuals, these are individuals who perhaps were captured on the road, in their houses, in the market, anywhere. They could be captured and forcibly carried. And most of them end up as slaves in terrorist camps. They are not willing terrorists. Some also are conscripted forcefully. All these are the ones that we classify as low risk. And they don't have blood on their hands. And they are looking for opportunities to escape. So whenever with the increment in kinetic operations, again, the kinetic operations, which like I said, is the use of our military resources to fight the terrorists. There is a lot of destruction of terrorist camps. And what did they do? It gives opportunity for those that were unwilling members, those that were captured, those that were forcibly retained in those places to escape and surrender. Now, when they are screened, the determination of those that are low risk are these categories of individuals that were unwilling conscripts, that were forced into it. These are the ones that, after all the processes, and that it is determined that these ones are low risk. It will interest you to know that more than 300,000 have surrendered, but only 2,000 plus have passed through the Operation Safe Corridor. And this is because of the very stringent screening procedure to determine who is low risk and who can pass through Operation Safe Corridor. And like I said, it is not a blanket program for everybody. Even if you come and you surrender, you have blood on your hands, you have cases to answer. After the screening, the Ministry of Justice will make that determination. And right now, the prosecution is ongoing. It's not as if you just come and there is some blanket amnesty. And like I said, the armed forces remain committed to our kinetic operations to eradicate all terrorists from our country, and we'll continue to do that.
Interesting. This clarification. And so I'll come to the coordinator of Operation Safe Corridor. As the defense, the Director of Defense Information has just clarified that Operation Safe Corridor is the minute aspect of what the military does. And it would seem that this minute aspect of it is of much interest to the general public. Why would you think this minute aspect of the operations happens to be what many people are interested in? And how do you begin to relate with the general population to note that this is just a small part of it, yet it generates so much interest?
Thank you very much, Siri. It's quite an opportunity to be with you on this program. First, let me still add to what the DDI, the Director of Defense Information, has said about the coinage of the term clients. It's not a coinage that is specific to Nigeria. It's part of the global best practice to ensure that, like he said, those that have voluntarily surrendered and seek to mend their ways and become of good behavior are not stigmatized. And countries like Indonesia, that has been facing insurgency, terrorism over some years, they also use similar terms. In their case, they call them partners. In places like Saudi Arabia, that has similar experience, they call them counselees. For places like Rwanda, they call them returnees and other subtle names. And like in Colombia, they call them signatories to the agreement that restored peace in Colombia after more than 50-something years of insurgency, counter-insurgency operations. Now, coming to why the interest of Nigerians are so much on this small component of our counterterrorism effort called Operation Safe Corridor. I think the interest is justified because we are talking of justice here. And again, it is emotion-laden. People that are perceived to have perpetrated so much crimes against the community, or for you to hear that they are being provided soft landing by the government and then later on reinserted. So there is that fear all those elements of emotion, fear, anger, and every other forms of emotional state. But those, emotional issues largely stem out of, lack of adequate understanding of the process as, well articulated by the DDI. People just think that you just open the door for anybody that has committed so much crime, perceived, to just rejoin the society. You provide some succor for them and things. So it's really very offensive if you don't understand the process. So it is in that regard that this discussion we are having now is very, very important, so that Nigerians can know that these people, they are not just brought and reintegrated like that. The criminal justice system is running its course. I mean, let's flip the coins, the coin a little, Cyril. Probably that might put us in a better situation to really understand the dilemma that our clients, again, find themselves. Cyril, if probably you or any member of your family happened to have been conscripted into this group against your will, or probably you are traveling from Abuja to Yobe State or any of the northeastern states, and your vehicle is ambushed on the way, and you are taken hostage. Then, as military operations intensifies, you found an opportunity to escape and surrender to government security agencies. What do you expect to be done to you, sir? Let's keep emotion apart, a little bit dispassionate and a little bit more objective. So until we flip the coin a little bit and put ourselves in the shoes of these our brothers, we won't be able to really, be fair in our assessment of the situation. So this is the case, sir.
I'll go over to Brigadier General Kukashika Usman to pick his brains a little, because you, from two sides, I'm looking at your experience. One, as a former spokesperson for the Nigerian Army. In addition to that, you also a communication and public relations specialist. And so you've dealt with relations with the public, you deal with relations with the public on virtually a daily basis. And here, if I borrow the words of Brigadier General Yusuf Ali, that sentiments and emotions aside, but here we're dealing with the very atrocious crime of terrorism. And so, would you be surprised if emotions and sentiments of the general public run so high as to develop deep interest in any project, non-kinetic this time, which seeks to reintegrate someone who, we might say, yes, they probably were conscripted, but it has also been known that some who were conscripted against their will had to do the bidding of those who conscripted them. And so for the victim, does it make that much of a difference?
Well, thank you so much. I believe Earlier on, the coordinator has rightly described it in the sense that the apprehension, the fear, the uncertainty were rightly justified. And if you look at it, over the years, the level of atrocities, committed against the Nigerian society, particularly in the northeast or the north, the victims themselves, they are unspeakable. Because at a certain point in time, Boko Haram terrorist group had been declared one of the most deadliest across the globe. And for anybody to have been associated with that group, and suddenly you are thinking of reintegration, rehabilitation, and reintegration back into the society. And more so, we are still in the process of counter-insurgency effort, so you can understand why the public concern. And for obvious reason, if you look at it again, I could remember vividly the circumstances of some of them that found themselves, in most instances, in the heydays, Boko Haram will attack a particular community. You don't even need to be ambushed and all the rest. They conscript able-bodied men and women and tax them with responsibilities accordingly. And most of them, it was against their will. It's just that you cannot have the opportunity to say so or to escape. I could remember, and there is so much disinformation and misinformation within the terrorist camp. A case in point was, there was a particular old man, during the military operation somewhere between, is it Benishek, Kukarita, I can't remember precisely, but along Maiduguri, Damatu, one of the crossing point anyway. And when he was captured by the military, and he was saying that were they closer to Lagos? Benishek, for those of you who know where Benishek, the distance between Benishek and Damatu, or Benishek to Maiduguri, the indoctrination was that the then leader of Boko Haram, Shekau, has told them that he had captured everywhere in Nigeria. What remained was Lagos. So there was so much indoctrination, and of course the level of involvement in the level atrocities varies from individual to another. And one important thing, these people that are being processed into this Operation Safe Corridor usually are the people that were, voluntarily surrendered. They were not carrying arms. And of course, international humanitarian law said that even if it is an insurgent, by the time he drops his gun, you cannot kill him. You have to go through the process. And what are the processes? I believe they have joined intelligence board. Then, of course, with the Ministry of Justice being the lead agency, determining the level of involvement. And they had three categorization: low, medium, and high risk. And that is why you have the GIWA project and all the rest of them. These are the people who have been found not to partake, have not partaken in the level of atrocities. And of course, there are ample evidences from the security forces, from, of course, the civilian component, particularly the civilian GTF and all the rest. Now, those that were found, and I could remember particularly an incident involving one that goes by the nickname Rugurugu or whatever. And of course, when the community involved, I think in southern Borno, they heard about it, they bowed over their dead body. No matter what, because they know he was involved. And just recently, some of the attacks, Ngosha and all the rest, there were people that were indigenous to the community. And suddenly you find such human being coming back to the same society that he destabilized. And remember, the level of atrocities, nothing, absolutely nothing of importance that was standing. I know of Bama, I know of Dikwa and the rest, not even, street lights. vandalize everything. So you can imagine the psychology, I mean the trauma, you know, so it's rightly justified, and that is why there is heightened concern. But the most important thing, and again, one other problem we have, there are conflicting signals. Because I could remember a particular person, Spiro, I mean, was saying that there was a certain attack he was alleging, which later was found out to be untrue. That some of the clients that were integrated back into the society, they found themselves, but of course, it was proven to be wrong, and it is not true. So there are inconsistent signals, and that is why there is need for more, you know, enlightenment campaign to get the buy-in, because the starting point, no matter how hard you have tried in the process, when you have not have you don't have the buy-in of the receiving community, then you have a problem, because they are the one who help. And most importantly, again, so much as we talk about these clients, we have to think of the victims. And the issue of victims, and I'm so happy he had made mention of the criminal justice system, because let there be justice, not only to the victims of the crime, but even the perpetrators of the crime. And I'm so happy, I think with this morning or so, I've seen quite a number of them, about 100 or so, they have been, you know, tried. As against trying them in, is it Kwara State, or where do they have them? Now they are even bringing them to Abuja. So there is expeditious action towards, you know, ensuring that justice is done. So basically, when you look at it, I think people should understand we cannot kill everybody, in the sense that people who do not partake in that kind of thing, and they have been found to be really conscripted forcefully, and they have not taken up arm against anybody or against the state, I think they should give them the benefit of doubt. Hence this Operation Safe Corridor. But it is not even that. There are other initiatives, because there is Maiduguri model also.
Borno model.
Borno model. So these are the kind of thing, and they have been doing marvelously well. But the thing is to expedite action on the kinetic aspect, because sincerely speaking, there's so much you know, information disorder in the terrorist camp, in the sense that initially, before they started coming out, they said whoever comes out, naturally they kill them. But it is not true. They found out it is not true. Life is sweeter and better within the society than in the bush. So information started filtering in, and quite a number, they have found themselves. And in any case, when you look at them, we have had instances, look at the Chibok girls. Now, for goodness sake, how do you take them to be? They were kidnapped, and they were forcibly taken out of their school. So how do you relate with such people? But not just them, there are several others still with them that were taken against their will. So these are the issues. Ali wants us to flip the coin and look at the circumstances. But then again, and we should understand also there is a diligent process, because the component, I think you have about 29
17 MDAs.
Ministry, department, and
Each
agencies,
performing,
and of course, the International Red Cross Society,
including
and all
international.
and these are the kind of thing that people should be informed about. It's an open and transparent thing, and it is not a rehabilitation thing. And contrary to what people were saying, they are not in any way integrated into the security architecture.
Yeah, because
of
that's
the country.
well, again, as
That one, I'm so sure about it. I'm not holding brief for them, but I know.
As you yourself
I know.
said earlier, there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation going around, and I recall that this was a major talking point at one period where it was.
We even discussed it.
Yes, we discussed it.
I think some years back or so.
They were being recruited into the security agencies, and huge uproar was raised about that. How do you now bring these people to the military? So that's even a straightforward question, which I'm sure you would also address when we come to other matters to do with it. But again, the problem of misinformation and disinformation is also what has to be dealt with, especially with projects like this one. And another issue I would like to raise about that is that the clients themselves, well, in order to take away the stigma from them, they're called clients, and at some point in time it is assumed that they do not pose that much of a risk to the general society. Again, the question would be the thoroughness of the process and the procedure of determining all of this. And if there is any form of post-monitoring, because it's easy. They say there are some people who can mask their real intentions. They go through, is there any form of monitoring after they must have gone through this process to be certain that they're not going back into those things?
Thank you very much. I think I need to address that issue so that it doesn't rest, because it is very dear to us in the Nigerian Armed Forces. This issue of recruitment of terrorists, that the safe corridor is an avenue for recruitment. And it is actually a wrong notion that is being spread by people that have no knowledge about the issue. Now, the recruitment process of the three services, I'm talking about the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, are very transparent. And they are monitored by all the states, because everybody is interested in their own indigents joining the military.
Right.
There are so many procedures that it is very difficult to now carry people from nowhere and come and put them in the service. No. And what happens is, one of the criteria, anybody who wants to join any of the military services has to go and get clearance from his village head, who knows all these people. Even these communities, they know those people. These terrorists are not spirits. They are known, they are from communities, they have brothers, they have relations, people know them, those that are in the bush, those who have committed atrocities. So for you to be recruited into the military, you go back to your village head will sign. You go to police also to ensure you don't have any criminal record, because it is a no-go for us to carry anybody who has a criminal record. So it is not. There is no procedure of, there is no linkage, no nexus between safe corridor and recruitment. The process, like I said, is very transparent. All the services advertise recruitment, and all the processes are followed strictly. And I have participated in recruitment exercises where we had reps sitting with us. And they say, no, this man is not even our indigent. Not even the issue of a criminal. I'm talking about somebody else who is not from that state. People sit, and from all the local government, they have reps, and they sit down and they insist, this one is not from our state. And we made it a duty. Once there is reasonable doubt that establishes that they reject certain people that are not, we follow what they have, because they know their people, and they know this. So it is actually a process that, like I said, it's a very wrong notion, and there is no linkage between safe corridor and recruitment into the services. Now, having said that, I think the second issue you talk about is about the thoroughness of the process.
Yes,
and how thorough is it in categorizing these individuals. Like I said earlier, these those ones that come, they're all aware that those ones that are doing it for ideology, those that are doing it for certain strong reasons or voluntarily, and those that have committed a lot of killings, because when they come, they are known in the communities. In fact, they will not even, those ones are not even coming. And so what do we have? The kinetic actions we are doing, the bombings, destruction of their camps, gives opportunity for those that were actually slaves, that were like captured and in captivity. So those ones, once they have a window, they come out. And then the screening starts. And like I said, not everybody that comes to surrender gets to be enrolled on safe corridor. Very rigorous process. to screen the individual. And it is even done, like I said, by the Ministry of Justice. And the Ministry of Justice is not doing it alone. It leverages all the information available to the security agents. I'm talking about the police, the DSS, civil defense, and then the locals. So all the information available, all the antecedents of each of the individuals that is seeking to enroll in Safe Corridor will be pulled together by the Ministry of Justice. And then, like I said, Safe Corridor does not replace the justice system. So those that are found culpable, those that are found to be medium or high risk, right away are prosecuted. Okay. And then we come back and enroll this one. So now the second aspect we talk about is post-enrollment. What happens? What happens? The integration in the societies. There is follow-up. Okay. Safe Corridor follows on, and all the security agencies are alerted, and there are procedures to follow and ensure that people do not relapse. And like I said, like we all know, there is no human system that is maybe without one or two hitches. But the whole aim is to keep checking, to keep looking at certain parameters to ensure that we don't have a relapse, and where there is remedial actions are taken.
Right. Well, in addition to the discussion in the studio, we have a number of reports. Let's start off seeing this one from Plateau.
Operation Enduring Peace is a rebranded version of Operation Safe Haven with a broader mandate and stronger focus on reinstating lasting peace. This theater of operation reflects a renewed sense of purpose and stronger resolve to secure lasting peace with focus on addressing gaps in previous operations, improving early warning mechanisms, and dominating ungoverned spaces with community support to counter insurgency. The operation deploys a multi-agency approach in synergy with the military, police, and other security agencies to restore peace and stability in the state. Intensifying security measures, the formation under the General Officer commanding 3 Division and Commander Operation Enduring Peace, Major General Folusho Oyilola, has deployed troops to high-risk areas and organized community engagements in Bassa, Bokos, Mangu, among others, to promote peace and stability.
We have observed a welcome decline in violent incidents in Baraki-Ladi. This relative peace did not come by chance. It is by the result of intentional dialogue, conflict mitigation strategies, community cooperation, and a renewed determination to put aside differences for greater good.
So the government is trying, the Enduring Peace is trying, everybody is trying. In fact, all the security agencies are trying. The people need to complement the effort of the security personnel, the security agencies. They cannot do it alone.
Apart from Operation Enduring Peace, there is Operation Rainbow, a state-backed community security established in 2010 to address insecurity and protect citizens regardless of faith, ethnicity, or background.
In Plateau State, there is a systematic way we're going about it in such a way that at the end of it, His Excellency's main goal is to improve the socio-economic life of Plateau so that at the end of the day, once somebody is comfortable, he's happy, his mind will not even go towards causing any problem anywhere because he will be busy doing whatever he's doing. So the resources we put into fighting insecurity are those that at the end of the day, the people that are exposed to them will still find those things useful. For instance, we have an intelligence fusion center that we built, but the type of equipment we put there is such that at the end of all of this, by God's grace, everybody could still use it. Is the Ministry of Agric, they could still use it. The Ministry of Information, they could still use it. Is it even federal agencies like immigration, they could still use it.
However, enhancing security in prone areas require holistic and multifaceted approach that combines robust law enforcement and community engagement to address the root causes of insecurity.
The next report is from Sokoto.
The success of Operation Safe Corridor largely depends on the effective implementation, strong interagency coordination, and sustained monitoring. While measurable progress has been made, experts noted that gaps remain and require urgent attention from authorities.
As long as we did not address the issue of Zamfara and also the issue of Zamfarawa, because this Zamfara that we are talking about constituted more than 60% of the bandits across northern Nigeria.
In states like Sokoto, Zamfara, and Katsina, as well as Niger in the north central, violence is driven more by banditry and kidnapping networks than ideologically motivated insurgency, making it difficult for de-radicalization to fully address the criminal and socio-economic drivers of the conflict.
It is actually a very good development, an excellent initiative that needs to be properly implemented based on peculiarities of northwestern Nigeria, based on peculiarity associated with the local or the rural bandits.
Rehabilitation of ex-combatants in the northeast reduces the risk of their redeployment to other regions and limits cross-border movement of insurgents.
In the 21st century, you don't wait for the populace to voluntarily give security contingent support, but that there are experts that can design strategic security engagement.
However, prevailing realities in the Northwest expose key limitations, including the absence of a reintegration framework tailored to banditry, inadequate focus on arms supply chains, and the role of illegal mining economies, particularly in Zamfara and parts of Niger State. Concerns also persist over recruitment networks, arms proliferation, and terrorism financing, which continue to fuel insecurity despite ongoing military operations across the Sokoto-Zamfara-Niger axis. Experts are therefore advocating homegrown solutions, stressing that while Nigerian security challenges may share similarities with other regions, they require context-specific responses and the involvement of seasoned professionals and independent experts to complement the efforts of security agencies with innovative and practical strategies.
The way to combat that very war or that very insecurity must also include dialogue, community engagement.
We need to have a very good and excellent understanding of the bandit formation, how it started, when it started, and the people involved, and also go into stakeholder mapping. Because it is these stakeholders, for instance, the stakeholders will play a very important role in addressing the issue of banditry and also in addressing an implementation of the Operation Safe Corridor.
Stakeholders remain unanimous that tackling insecurity requires strong political will, professionalism, and sustained collaboration, warning that only a coordinated and adaptive approach can guarantee lasting peace and stability.
Well, back here in the studio, two issues we noticed from those reports. One, the talk about the communities and the local terrain. That's one aspect of it. And the other one we'll get to, but let's dwell a little more on the role of the communities and how they can enhance the prospects of Operation Safe Corridor. What should they do, the communities where, you know, the people themselves are enjoined to offer support? And what manner of support are we looking at here? Yes, either you or...
Okay, thank you very much. What is expected of communities or how they could actually assist in this is in twofold. One, community interest. They can help to stop recruitment of potential terrorists. I'm talking about this. An early warning about terrorists also, warning. As an intelligence means, they can also stop giving sanctuary to terrorists. I'm just talking about disorder prevention, about even where you have terrorists that are in place. What do communities do? And now, when they don't give sanctuary and support, provide, what I mean is, if there is anybody in the community that you know is a terrorist, you don't keep quiet. They come and tell the security agencies, and then we take it off from there. Then, if there is any information again, whether they are in the community or not, they advance it to security agencies. This is on the one hand. Now, on the other hand, when you talk about maybe clients that have finished the program and are back to the community, it behoves the community again to also act as a watchdog over them, to ensure that they are back and they are actually for good. It is also for the community to ensure that, once somebody is stigmatized, is not accepted, there is that possibility that he might feel unwanted and so many emotions can come in and he can relapse. Now, first, for the communities, they need to also be sure, be convinced that these guys are actually low risk and they pose no threat to them. If somebody you feel is actually a threat, there is no way you can tell me that I can accept him with all the hurt, with all the emotions we've talked about. So, once that is done and the communities have actually confirmed these are low risk and they have passed through all the processes, the community has a role in the reintegration. They're going to become part of the community. So as much as possible, they should have them, give them that sense of belonging and accept them. Of course, playing a watchdog to ensure that they are not playing a double role and they are not relapsing to those their attacks. And so if there are means, again, like I say, integration is very wide, which include means of livelihood. Somebody has something to do, is gainfully employed, and in that place, he can also be monitored. So there is a lot the community can do in this, in the fight against terrorism, either for those that are terrorists that are right now in the bush and are active terrorists. They can help in identifying and neutralizing these people. They also have a role for those who have gone through the process of rehabilitation in safe corridor and they are back in the area of reintegration and rehabilitation. There is a lot the communities will do. And I want to re-echo this, the call made by the Chief of Defense Staff while he was in Maiduguri, calling on communities to take ownership of the fight against terror. Taking ownership does not mean carrying arms to go and fight terrorists. No. When we say taking ownership is one, deny them sanctuary, provide information to security agencies. We take it up from there. You become a stakeholder. You are concerned, not that you see the terrorists, you keep quiet. The armed forces will look for him. And then we don't know them. You know him. And then that once you know, this individual can come tomorrow and harm you. And they come, they mingle, and they go out. If we know, we get them. So it is important that we have community buy-in. I think this General Usman has mentioned about community buy-in. But the communities have a lot to do in all the aspects of this war against terror.
If I might just ask the coordinator, so far since the coming on stream of this project, what's been the response of the communities? How much of work have you done with them, cooperation within these communities, and what's their response? What has been the response so far?
Well, Cyril, the communities have been very, very supportive, and like the DDI said, they formed the first layer of the feedback mechanism for whatever Operation Safe Corridor is doing, because they are the first set of people that are in contact with these clients. Immediately they are reintegrated into the community. Yes, at the initial stage in the early 2015, 16, 17, there was quite a lot of pushback from those communities, and those pushback were born out of apathy, anger, sense of loss, and others which are germane and expected. But as the program progresses, they have come to understand that some of those fears they nursed earlier on are unfounded, because based on their day-to-day interaction with the clients, they found them to actually have imbibed positive behavioral trends over a period of time that is acceptable to the community. And in order to build upon that, we have also put in some programs with the assistance of the National Counterterrorism Center under the Office of the National Security Advisor. They have this program of 1 to 3, that is for each clients reintegrated into the society, whatever form of support is by way of starter packs is provided for them. They also provide for the community, for about 2 to 3 members of the community. And we are working on scaling that up to probably 1 to 10, or as the case may be. And we are even, because the whole idea is to ensure that the reconciliation process is enhanced and speed up, so to say, because where you have both the clients who have been integrated into the society, engaging together with members of the community in common endeavors like farming, tailoring, and others in clusters. They meet day to day to discuss the problems of their business and all those things. That way you are speeding the reconciliation process and others. So in the main, the response of the communities have been fantastic and has been very encouraging, because with every passing day, their buy-in is increasing. So the level of pushback is reducing every day as the program progresses.
Let me go back to another aspect of those 2 reports we saw from Plateau and Sokoto. And this has to do with another aspect that was brought up as part of the challenges, banditry, kidnapping. And since the insurgency started, and with all the efforts that have gone into surmounting the insurgency, we've seen aspects of criminality rear its head. The lines are now blurred between terrorism and kidnapping for ransom and such other crimes that have been carried out, and sometimes in areas where terrorists have struck and have been removed. You find the ugly trend of common criminality, criminal acts starting up. And somewhere along the line, there's a blurring of which is which, how each one is dealt with, even within the communities. And when we speak of the role of the communities, we wonder if any part of this project too addresses that.
Well, are you talking to Ali or you're talking to...
Well, yeah, he would, from the point of the coordinator, and then where I would like you to come in is where the lines have thinned out between terrorism, kidnapping, banditry, and such other criminalities that are particularly in Zamfara, Niger, some of these also linked to mining, illegal mining activities. Since we are all on the subject of tackling security challenges.
Well, if I may take it on, I think you are quite right in the sense that the security challenges within this country kept on evolving over time. Initially, maybe 20, 25 years ago, nobody has ever imagined Nigeria will find itself in this kind of problem, in the sense that talking about terrorism, kidnapping for ransom and banditry. We have had security challenges, yes, violent extremism. We have had armed robberies and all the rest of them. But you cannot isolate what is happening in Nigeria in relation to what is happening elsewhere globally. First and foremost, the concept of war economy is very, very latent in the sense that any time you have any security challenges, there is an economic system that revolves around it. And particularly banditry and all the rest, so much criminality and all the rest, because the mainstream power of banditry or kidnapping, so to speak, is the payment of ransom. Take it away, but you end kidnapping for ransom. But of course, it's easier said than done because they realize the vulnerabilities of the Nigerian society and security forces, because averagely, we are so compassionate that they know psychologically if they touch anyone that is, so dear to you, you damn the consequences, even though the law said it prohibits payment of ransom and all the rest. But then, have you empowered the security agencies to really deal with that issue? Because I will remember, I don't know whether I could be wrong, but I know in those days, even though there were instances of kidnapping at police headquarters, there are, whether there is money kept for ransom payment. But of course, clearly marked, they will pay, but definitely they will retrieve it and get the culprit. But we have the capacity now. So these are the kind of things. And of course, given the fact that, some of these security challenges had to do with belief system. Take, for instance, Boko Haram. They just think that their own understanding of Islamic religion is entirely different and the other people are wrong. Then you have this indoctrination again over time with the banditry and all the rest. In as far as much I know, the banditry and the kidnapping, so to speak, especially in the northwestern part of the country, I think it is the issue of Hada's farmers complex that was not properly handled, even though some people will argue otherwise, because initially, these are things that we had been living with. There is always an understanding. The Hada, usually you cannot police the cows over time. Naturally, they go to people's farm to commit, eat the crops, and of course they will sit down. And the time and the extent of damage and, compensations are paid. But somehow, there is kind of impunity that came into play. Take, for instance, if the compensation supposedly is supposed to be 20,000 naira, a value chain has been added, they will hijack it to 50 or more because the village head will take his share, this one will take, of course, the harder to become wiser, and eventually people began to take law into their hands. Hence we have the NSAK and all the rest of them, dealing with this issue. So unless we go back to our time-tested conflict resolution mechanism and going back to what both of them were saying, in respect of, in fact, what the Chief of Defense Staff has said, taking ownership, looking at yourself as a stakeholder to see how can we go back to those time-tested where every member of the community is a partner, a stakeholder that take interest. It is not just because what you have now, the issue is that in most instances, all you need to do is traverse the social media platform. You realize in most instances, the counter-insurgency effort is basically between the military or the armed forces of Nigeria and the Boko Haram or ISWAP members. It's against the Nigerian society. The same thing with the banditry. In fact, the farther away you move physically from the location where it is, even in the north, people initially thought it is Boko Haram is purely northeast. No, it is Kanuri affair. You know, that kind of thing. So unless we are all on the same page, and look at this existential, security challenges as existential threat that touch to the very root or the binding thing that, keep Nigeria together, then we can be able to solve that issue. Then, of course, the issue of criminality that come into play, the illegal mining and all the rest of them. And to a large extent, you have to, whether we like it or not, we talk about governance. Because this, whenever you see criminal elements, take it, is basically they are filling a vacuum. They are filling a vacuum. Take, for instance, the bandits now, they constitute an authority upon themselves, determine who gets what in the society, right, and determine, not just distribution of resources, but other things in the society. We have had instances. You have seen what happened, in Niger State. Some people moved, the sleeper cells of Boko Haram moving into community, determining their way of life. So you begin to wonder what happened to the local authorities, what happened to the imams, that now they are telling them this is how to bath, this is how to pray, this and so the community that has been there for more than 60, 70 years. So what happened? So they are feeling a vacuum. Now you go back to issue of governance, I have said. We have 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local government. You know it and we know it. The local government system is virtually not working. So the people, and all these security challenges, to a large extent, you can pinpoint them to a particular local government, to a particular community. I depend that the people have been properly empowered. They could have been able to deal with these security challenges before they escalate, they, reach state up to federal level. So these are the kind of things, and I will go back and recalibrate all these issues we'll continue to have. And because they are part of the society, they take and do advantage of this vulnerability, because you are only as secure as your most vulnerable point. They are within the society, so they understand those weak points and they exploit them. And that is why you are having, and that is why you say the blow. Of course, the previous administration has even declared bandits as terrorists. Of course, the present government also declared a state of emergency on security. And of course, the president was categorical. Anybody who is having a weapon, AK-47, of course, you regard him or her as terrorists. But then those are the things on paper, but what of galvanizing the Nigerian society to also help and take ownership, to understand that, look, these security forces, they are doing the best they can, but they are no magicians. They rely on information. And I've seen it in several fora. Take, for instance, somebody will get information about movement of terrorists or bandits. Even yesterday, it happened in Katsina State, that they saw them in Funtua and all the rest. He just decided to put it on WhatsApp group. I sent in a message privately, and I said, look, tell me. And of course, I was able to talk to the various commanders. In fact, even the commissioner of internal security in the state, I talked with him. And I said, look, he confirmed the incidents. And these are the kind of things that, because when you put it on the platform there, you don't even know who is who.
Exactly.
So they will be able to...
Having the information is one thing, knowing what to do with it.
So we need to galvanize the Nigerian society, proper security education, so that each and everybody will know his role, and beyond that, empower them to perform that role. But most importantly, to further empower these people in uniform to respond whenever there are such things. So you can go on and on and on about all these things, and that's what gives you the blow about, terrorism, insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and all the rest. And they kept on evolving, and of course, and so on and so forth.
All right. At this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll still have another report, and then the phone lines will be open. We'll also raise more issues regarding this Operation Safe Corridor. And we'll be back, right back. Stay with us.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thank you for staying with us. Tonight it's about Operation Safe Corridor, tackling security challenge in Nigeria. This is the segment where the phone lines are open and you can join in the conversation in the studio. We say this every Tuesday. If you're calling in tonight, the numbers will be on your screen. You can take advantage of those. If you're calling in tonight, we remind you to turn down the volume of your TV set once your call gets through to the studio. And that's to avoid the hurlback or the echo. We also encourage you to go straight to the point. Don't bother too much about the greetings. Just a simple hello would do. And we ask that you keep such comments or questions as briefly as possible so that others can also get on the platform. Whatever issues you raise, I guess here we'll address them. I'm certain about that. So just keep those calls coming through and we look forward to them. We'll start off now with another in our reports. This one is from Zamfara.
Safe Corridor is a non-kinetic military program designed to rehabilitate and reintegrate repentant bandits into the society. In Zamfara State, the program was established in Safi local government area. It provides vocational training, counseling and guidance to help repentant bandits change their ways. However, many residents say they have not seen real improvement in security as attacks and kidnappings are still happening in several areas. Some stakeholders, including traditional and community leaders, believe the program can still succeed. They say there should be more community participation, openness, and continuous support for victims of banditry to build trust. Security experts say non-violent approaches like Operation Safe Corridor are important, but they must be supported with stronger military action and other security measures.
The members of the public need to be reoriented. While the bandits should come out publicly and surrender their arms, then the safe corridor could be said to be successful.
Government need to sensitize people, need to enlighten people that this is what we mean by this process, and when these people repented, this is what we are going to do to them, and this is what we expect you to do.
The administration of Governor Dauda Lawry states its support for the program and called on bandits to surrender without conditions.
To those who intend to surrender their arms unconditionally and willingly, they are free to do so.
As Zamfara State continues to face security challenges, many believe the success of the Operation Safe Corridor depends on strong cooperation, proper monitoring, and trust between the people and the authorities.
Right, we're back here in the studio now after the report from Zamfara, and there are so many aspects to this. And just before the break, General Kuka Sheka Usman was giving us an insight into the various aspects of it, and he touched a little bit on what's been referred to now as the war economy and such other matters. But again, let's come back to the Director of Defense Information, who's here with us, and we can take the discussion further. taking off from where he stopped, about the general atmosphere where you have a thin line between insurgency, banditry, and other criminal activities. And just before you comment, let's see if we can get in this very first call. I guess it's been on the line waiting to Bashir from Abuja calling in. Hello, if you're there, go ahead.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, go ahead.
My greetings to the very senior officers over there, and congratulations to all security agents and members of the armed forces. Yes, quite all right. Arrest of terrorists, bandits, criminals have been made. And these terrorists, these criminals have been prosecuted. And these terrorists, these kidnappers, these bandits have also been sentenced, probably to death. How many of those governors have been brave enough to sign the death warrant? Countries like China, North Korea, and some of those Arab countries, the reason why the rate of criminality is very low is because they take drastic measures. Drastic measures, but legally. The issue now is that even when these people are arrested, they are prosecuted, and instead of the governors to sign for the appropriate thing to be done so that it will be a deterrent to others, they will say, no, members of the armed forces, go and deal with this situation. No, members of the police, go and deal with this situation. How do you deal with this situation? Do you deal with this situation so that tomorrow human rights, international community will come and state bothering the members of the armed forces or the police or the DSS or whoever? It becomes an issue. How do you go and deal with it? The best way you can deal with it is that you have done the appropriate thing, arrest has been made, these suspects have been prosecuted, the judiciary has done the needful to have sentenced them, but instead of the governors doing that, the creative enemies, they will be taken to the prisons. After 2, 3, 4 years, they break the prisons they run and they become a problem to the society again. And you know, a repentant terrorist that has killed his parents, do you think he will repent? How will he repent? His own parents. I just think the governors should do the needful. And I want one girl, if you know of any, General Kukan Shekara will answer. Brigadier General Aliyu Adeasi, General Ubaru Adeasi, you two, Mr. Say of Torah, with all due respect, you are Adeasi. Tell me of one governor that you know that has signed a death sentence. Thank you very much. God bless you and good night, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you very much, Bashir Abuja. We'll take that mainly as your own contribution and your comment on the issues at stake. But some of the issues you raised certainly are being addressed in this conversation, and there'll be other views about them as well. So thanks for calling in. Yes, General.
Thank you very much. But all the same, I think can touch about 1 or 2 issues that he raised.
Right.
He talked about the possibility of somebody who has killed his own parents. a repentant terrorist that's repenting. And like we said earlier, the safe corridor is not an amnesty. Anybody who has blood on his hands, who has committed, the process will take it its due course. He will be prosecuted. Just for emphasis, I think we need to re-echo that the process, again, is for low-risk individuals.
Right.
And what we mean by low-risk individuals are those who maybe were perhaps conscripted or captured and then made slaves, and then they had an opportunity to escape. So, but for those for whom it is established, like this one that he mentioned that has killed his parents, it is very clear that that one will face the full consequences of his action.
Okay.
And then taking up again from where General Kukashika left earlier that you talk about, when we are talking about the line between criminality and banditry that is getting blood, where there is, he talked about the issue of indoctrination, the issue of crime. Now, what all of these have in common is the recruitment pool. Where do they get willing tools to be used in this criminality? Apart from forced conscription that they do, there are issues. Now, there is a loss of livelihood for a lot of people. There is stark illiteracy in certain areas. There is endemic poverty. Now, where you have a combination of these things, there are issues. So I will advocate, while the federal government is doing a lot, getting us equipment to fight the terrorists, a whole-of-nation approach will be required to tackle this.
Right.
And I'm talking of governance at the local level.
Okay. Let me just ask you to pause a while. Let's take in this call. Chooks is calling in from River State. Chooks, if you're there, let's hear you. Chooks. Hello, Chooks, are you there? Well, let me just say this. For those who are calling in, we always remind you that one way to know your call has been passed through to the studio, you'll see your name appear on screen. Once that is on screen, it tells you that your call is through to the studio, and you just go right ahead. Is that Chooks?
I want to know why insecurity has not ended in Nigeria for over 10 years. That's one. Two, I have come to think if it is because of our population. China is more populated than Nigeria. India is more populated than Nigeria. They have different ethnic groups. Why is our own not ending? That's just the question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So why insurgency has not ended after all these years? Yes.
Okay, I think I can just address that. And what he's talking about is why has it not ended. Now, I can tell for sure a lot of kinetic actions have been taken against these terrorists. And I have a personal experience to share. I was in the Northeast as a brigade commander, and I had a conversation with the people in Kukawa, for example. I was in Kroskawa, and I spoke with them. Where are the original members of Boko Haram when the insurgency started? Most of them have been killed. So what am I saying? If you don't address the root causes, we keep killing, but they keep coming up. Like I was saying earlier, I'm talking about poverty, stark illiteracy, lack of opportunities. All those things are fertile grounds where you can recruit. So what is required is, like General SK said, is ownership, whole-of-nation approach. While we in the military continue doing our kinetic actions and eradicating anybody who has taken up arms, there should be governance right from the local government level, at the basic level. There should be opportunities, there should be education, there should be spiritual mentoring. A lot of them are even not aware of the teachings of the religion. They are stark illiterates even in their religion. They don't even know what the religion says. So there is a lot to be done, a whole of nation approach. The entire nation has to rise up. The entire resources of the nation have to be deployed to ensure that we eradicate these terrorists. The military will continue to make sure that anybody, like I said, who has taken up arms is neutralized, and it has been doing that continuously over the years. But then if the right conditions are not there, we keep getting more and more and more coming. So I think it is something that we need to look at, the whole of nation, mobilize the whole resources of the nation to make sure that we bring this scourge to an end.
All right.
I think, Cyril, I think I should...
just before you comment, there's another caller from Rivers, Jeffrey, calling in from Rivers as well. Jeffrey, go ahead. Jeffrey, if you're with us, we're waiting to hear your comments or your question.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Jeffrey, I just mentioned, once your name appears on screen, your call is through, so go ahead. And I thought a moment ago your name was on screen. All right, we lost that call. So, right, back to you.
Yes, Cyril, I think most times if we don't put our security situations in contexts, we tend to will not sort of be will not really appreciate what the government is doing in Nigeria. But when you put it in context of how insecurity has evolved in some climes, for example, the British and Northern Ireland insurgency took close to 30 years before they were able to come about the Good Friday Agreement. When you go to Colombia, for close to 50-something years. 58 years before the agreement between the FARC and the government was signed. So these are sometimes when you look at it from this way, you will be able to really appreciate what the armed forces of Nigeria is doing, what the government is doing. We are not saying that we are there yet, or we are not using that to justify where we are now, but comparatively, I mean, we should count our blessings one way or the other. And because I think I should also end by saying that counterinsurgency and counterterrorism operations are not, they are not sprints. It's not a dash. It's a marathon. You need some level of patience, understanding, and you know, like has been said, the whole of nation approach in order to get insurgency and terrorism defeated.
All right.
Yes.
Let's get back to the phones now. Ijalano from Ado-Ekiti is on the line. Hello.
Hello. Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, I want to talk about our position. God Almighty will continue to bless them and give them more strength to go ahead. So, our observation as a public is this. What happened to those women that were forcefully taken by these bandits? The children they will bring to the society. What happened to those children? What happened to, because they themselves to continue to the menace that we are feeling today in society. Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Thank you very much. If I got him correctly, he's raising questions about the victims again. For those who have been processed, who have been rehabilitated, he says, what happens to those who are aggrieved or who are the victims of it if they enjoy the kind of support? And we started talking about that much earlier in the program as well. General Kuka Sheikh Usman.
Well, I think he's quite right, because it's both sides, because so much as you are thinking of, you know, the low risk and the perpetrators of the crime, you should also at the same time think of the victims of the crime. And in as far as much I'm concerned, I think the whole of Nigerian society is also a victim, either physically, materially, or psychologically, because the way you used to relate with each other before 2009 and now is entirely different. You know, there are invisible scars almost each and every one of us is bearing now. In the past, you don't have to worry yourself. You can just pick your car or you can travel to anywhere without the list of your concern is issue of security. Maybe you can think of your car breaking down or something like that. Now, beyond that, there are societies, like I mentioned, that nothing, absolutely nothing, anything associated with progress and civilization has been, you know, brought to state of zero. You know, no schools, no markets, no hospitals, not even street lights. Now, to think of then people who have lost loved ones, because there are instances a whole family was wiped out, or sometimes a family of 20, only one that is surviving. How do we expect that survival to live with a kind of trauma? And to think that somebody who he thought was part of the group that perpetrated those heinous crimes against him or his family is being rehabilitated on behalf of him or something like that. So basically, so it is very important, the issue of justice. And I mentioned it is not justice to the victims, but even to the people that have committed the crime. And I like the caller, Bashir. He talked about, you know, punishment to the extent of even death sentence. And that is where we have to have a synchronization between the kinetic effort, the various efforts that are being made to bring peace and security in this country, and the criminal justice system. There should be synchronization among the components of the security architecture, in the sense that if somebody has been screened and found to be of high risk, that need to be punished based on the crimes perpetrated, you don't give him a sentence on the slap of the wrist. Okay. Because the laws are very clear irrespective of that. But why is it that we find it very difficult to apply these, you know, laws accordingly? Okay. These are the issues. So invariably, we need to look at the criminal justice system. And also, and I'm so happy, in their earlier submission, they talked about the renewed focus, not just necessarily in respect of the client, but the society itself, yes, sir, which has been at the receiving end of the atrocities.
Okay, let me just take this call and then we'll continue from that point. Kabiru from Bauchi. Kabiru, hello.
Okay, thank you, Brother Cyril and the discussants. I just want to appreciate the discussion, and I'm sure it's very educating. But I want to talk on one issue that has to do with safe corridor. I am of the opinion that if the the military would do more in community engagement, more especially in terms of those rehabilitated who are in the system before, and they have now come back to the community. I'm sure if there is a strong or a very viable community engagement on that aspect of info gathering, in respect of their own behaviors, in respect of who is who, because even if, as the Defense Information General was saying, the initial people have been killed, but still the recruitment pattern. These people have been recruited from the community. I agreed with him also. There is issue of illiteracy. There is issue of cattle rustling, which make the Fulanis more vulnerable because they don't have anything. There is issue of poverty. So all these things now, I think the military, since they are in the system and the kinetic is working, I think it is better if they can go back to the community, re-engage, have a very good community engagement whereby the communities will be enlightened, most especially those in the crisis or in the conflict areas, where all this banditry and the issue of mining and all the rest are happening. So I feel that if they do that, probably there will be a little change. We know once there is crisis, as Yusuf Ali was saying, you know, it takes time because the damage has already been done. And the people that are doing it, they're enjoying the economic aspect of it. So it is very difficult sometimes, but still, when the communities are well enlightened and they're able to understand they're being used to kill themselves, then I think there will be change. So thank you very much.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Kabiru. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me address that.
All right. Okay, you had concluded your thoughts then, or you like to just finish it up before?
Well, the thing is that, just like I'm saying, is that what I was saying is the issue of justice for the victims.
Right.
It is not just issue of justice, but I think now the ratio, they said, Ali, you said it's 3-to-1, and you are thinking of
upscaling it
up to 10. So,
yeah.
but the most important thing is issue of justice. But then, not even justice. What are the psychosocial support to the victims themselves? Because people have been traumatized, and suddenly you think of all these things, and I think this is one area that we have to think along. But I know the starting point actually is the criminal justice system, to make sure the judiciary is up and dealing decisively with those that are found culpable, and those, of course, they are low risk. The clients are integrated into the society and they are doing very well, contributing meaningfully to the society. And given the correctional system that we have in the country, I think it is a very good initiative that we should have the safe corridor, in the sense that it's shepherd them towards a better, productive life. There's against, the correctional services that some of them are going through, and all the rest of them. But the most important thing is the criminal justice system, to ensure that the victims also are being given justice, and including those who perpetrate the crime.
All right. Yes, General.
Okay. I want to thank Kabiru for what he said. The issue he raised about...
Okay. Again, I'm sorry to ask you to pause a while. Mohammed from Abuja calling in. Mohammed, let's hear you. Hello, Mohammed.
The two serving generals and the retired brigadier general, also good evening to you people. Please, I want to find out something. Why is it that Shekau cannot be traced? This is someone that we know where he is. People know where he is. He has been killing people. If he insults anybody in this country now, or any service chief today, will be traced. And we arrested, we will be molested, we will be beaten up. But we are now saying that we cannot.
All right. Okay, that's the question. Oh, well.
Yeah, so going back to what Kabiru said about community engagement, I'm very happy from what he said and the angle he followed about the importance of community engagement and getting the buy-in of communities. Like we said, Operation Safe Corridor is a multi-agency outfit. It doesn't belong to one agency. Among the ministry, department, and agencies, we have the Ministry of Information and the National Orientation Agency, and they are doing a lot in terms of sensitization of the general populace of Nigeria about these things. And then when you are talking about the community engagement also, there is contacts with the local traditional rulers, local leaders at all levels. And this community engagement is key, and it's not taken lightly, and it's actually ongoing and giving high priority in Operation Safe Corridor. So I thank you for that.
Okay, there's this outstanding question from Mohammed from Abuja, but before you take that, we have a caller from London, Abdul Latif, calling in. Hello. Hello, Abdul Latif. Well, I don't think we're getting that connection through, so maybe one last try. Abdul Latif, if you're there and you can hear me, just go ahead with a question or comment.
Hello, good evening.
All right, good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much for the discussion. And, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for the discussion and the host. What I would like to ask is the effort the government is making to make sure that the various community affected are taking active action to hold this issue of insecurity in their communities. Because it's a known fact that security is a collective responsibility of all. So I would want the discussant to tell us what the government is doing to ensure that these communities are actually taking active action to hold the responsibility of ensuring security in their various communities. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Well, straightforward, that conversation has already been tabled, and I will expand on it. And just before that, the outstanding question from Mohammed, who called in from Abuja here, saying, why is it difficult to arrest, to apprehend the terrorist leader who's been known to be everywhere? Why has he not been apprehended?
I think maybe I think he is not up to speed with what the current reality. If it is Abubakar Shekau who took over the leadership of Boko Haram after Mohammed Yusuf, has long been dead. Of course, the circumstances, of his death, I think he has been dead for how many?
Some years now.
Some years now. So possibly he's talking about somebody else.
Yeah. Yes. I believe he's talking about another
Truji and the rest of them.
Yes, possibly. No, I think in respect of Boko Haram.
Boko Haram, yes.
So Mohammed, possibly, I think Shekau has long been dead. And in fact, he killed himself, or he committed suicide, so to speak.
All right. Okay. So that rests it. Okay. Well, we'll still leave the comments by Abdul Latif from London. Ayodele is on the line from Ado-Ekiti, I believe. Hello, Ayodele.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Yes, I just want to make a quick contribution that the major problem we have concerning security in this country is lack of peace building. And when we talk of peace building, it has to do with putting necessary things into place. Like one of the major in the house said that education education is the most step too, and not only that, providing jobs for the people. I think if government can do more on peace-building, the issue of security will be the thing of the past in this country. Thank you, sir.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Now we can come back to you to take those issues.
Yeah, the first one is, I think what was the other one?
Well, the one from London was about what's been done to ensure that the communities take ownership of this initiative. We touched on that. Perhaps you need to add a little bit more on that. And of course, what Ayodele has just spoken about has to do with, again, the causes where you have the fertile ground for recruiting potential terrorists and criminals, all boiling down to the fact of governance, those issues and provision of opportunities across board to keep people busy.
Okay, I think starting with the issue of community engagement, what the government is doing about community engagement, I can maybe starting with my own constituency. The military, the armed forces that is at the forefront in the fight against terrorists. This has been recognized by the military leadership. And that was why a few weeks ago in Maiduguri, the Chief of Defense Staff challenged rather Borno and Yobe states to please take ownership of the fight against insurgency and terrorism. And like I clarified earlier, when we say take the fight, it doesn't mean pick up arms and go and start fighting them instead of the military doing that. When we mean by take ownership, it is about what? Acting as an information source. When you see something, you say something. And denying them sanctuary. There are instances of where some terrorists were discovered within communities. And this means they know them and then maybe they are giving them sanctuary. These are things that a call was made and then we try to engage all communities that it is in their own interests to bring out anybody they know is a terrorist. And then I'm just talking about the military constituency. But then the entire nation, calls are being done. Sensitization is being carried out by the Ministry of Information, the National Orientation Agency that I said are part of Operation Safe Corridor. A lot is being done to carry communities along, to take ownership and then be part of the battle against terrorists.
Right, but back to the military, does this also include, you said the communities should engage, does this also include a question that was raised earlier to say that there are some known terrorists or bandits who are within communities and they still haven't been apprehended? Would it be that they're not getting the cooperation from those communities? Some of them make an open show on social media. Does it mean there are people who are close but are not given the required intelligence to the authorities to bring them in?
Exactly. That is actually the truth. With adequate intelligence, they will be apprehended. And then when you're talking about terrorists coming on social media, Suleiman Yellow, for example, has been one of the terrorists. He was fond of coming to the social media to flaunt money. And then it was just a question of time. And it happened in March. What happened, he flaunted some money that he collected, and he was apprehended. He was apprehended not long after collecting the ransom. He was apprehended. So it is about communities giving us adequate intelligence. And a lot of communities, I will not say that there are no communities or individuals in the larger society that are, everybody is not, no. A lot are actually giving us information. But where there is failure on the part of these people, I mentioned sanctuary. You come and keep somebody and is hiding among the populace. Then there is no information. Nobody knows where he is. He can come out at any time, commit atrocity, and hide. So you have to deny him sanctuary. You have to also find a way to tell the military. I know this issue of apprehension about their personal security and safety. But pass the information to the security agencies and they will take it off from there. It is important that communities do that. So they are actually, if we have cases of people within communities, there is no information. And it is important that we have this information so that we can take it off from there.
Let's return to another aspect of the OPSC, and we started talking about it in collaboration and international cooperation. You did say there were agencies, and you said there were international bodies. Let's talk about that, the extent of the cooperation with international bodies.
Yes, thank you very much, Cyril. Like we're all aware, terrorism is a global phenomenon and is a borderless activity. So it is mandatory that international partnership is very critical to the success of what Operation Safe Corridor is doing. And Operation Safe Corridor has actually benefited so much through international partnership with the European Union, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office of London, the Swiss Embassy. You have the International Organization for Migration and others who have brought their, global expertise from God. You also have the International Red Cross, Crescent, and others who have brought their international clout and experiences in other conflict contexts to bear in their support to Operation Safe Corridor. Largely, these foreign partners provide us with capacity building, provide us with some level of even assessment of our systems and processes to be sure that it conforms with global best practices everywhere. And they also provide some level of, international monitoring and evaluation to see that our processes are consistent with international humanitarian law of armed conflicts and other things. And with this, these are the entities that actually do the advocacy for us in international platform. Where we don't have the reach, they have the reach. They are the ones. There was a time in this. There was a time, Amnesty International was more like saying everything wrong about what Nigeria is doing. But if you gauge,
we might call it that, it was a collision bad between the Amnesty International and the military over allegations.
Thank you very much. So if you gauge, if you gauge the temperature now, you would observe that the temperature has sort of simmered, that's lowered because critical international entities like the Red Cross, they are partnering with Operation Safe Corridor, cross-checking and assessing our practices and process, and found it to be compatible with global best practices. So it has reduced the level of, wrong presentation of Nigeria's both kinetic and non-kinetic efforts.
Well, I'm glad you talked about capacity building and evaluation, and this is where we bring in General Kukashika Usman. And 24 weeks. And the big question on the lips of many people is that adequate? Because earlier you talked about psycho, support, 24 weeks, and some people wonder if that's enough time to analyze, evaluate, de-radicalize, if you like, someone who's on the borderline of losing it.
I think it is not the time, but the quality of, of the program, as it were. And I know there were, apart from, there are various components of it. The issue of education, the issue of crafts, so to speak, depending on which line. Some of them, they had hand crafts before. Now, you are even teaching them better, and they have a better grasp as compared to the past. And of course, there is the other component of it that is the issue of the radicalization, as it were. They are not making sense out of them, so to speak, but they are trying to make sure that they have a new perspective about life. The ability to understand things differently and to live in a sense society. Yes, I think it's a work in progress because life is itself. We keep on learning on a daily basis. And I think the most important thing is beyond the training, again, what are the other support systems? And I'm so happy that I think General Uba has made inference, and of course, even General Yusuf has made inference to the support system, right from the safe corridor itself and the community itself, and of course, the monitoring and evaluation, in the sense that it is not just the community, but there are other security components that are involved. But then, of course, the trades that they are involved. Take, for instance, if they are tailors, mixing up with fellow tailors or farmers, as the case may be, and the rest of them. So these are the kind of things that it is a continuous thing, and the monitoring. It is not just the training at Mal and CD, but the quality of the training itself, and of course the level of instruction. And I was made to understand, beyond, there are also religious clerics that are also there, teaching them, some of them, surprisingly, they don't even know the religion itself. Basic thing that an average Muslim is supposed to know or to do, they don't even have an idea about it. So these are the kind of things. So you cannot teach them everything at the same time. But it's a kind of ongoing process. But I think the 24 weeks is quite adequate for that purpose, as it were, because there hadn't been any complaint, or was there any recidivism in respect of the quality of training? I don't think there is any out of the tens of thousands that you have had so far.
So, on a final note, we got just about a minute to go on it. General Ba, that would deal with your final comments on this and the sustainability of this initiative.
Once again, what I want to reiterate is the fact that the military is committed to carry out its core function, and the core function is getting rid of all terrorists. I want Nigerians to remember that a safe corridor is only a minute window that is given to low-risk individuals. And when we say low risk, we mean those that do not have blood in their hands, those that maybe perhaps were conscripted without willingly joining these terrorists. So it is important we have their clear demarcation, and then understand that the military will continue to carry out its function of eradicating anybody who takes up arms against the nation. And it is important for everybody in Nigeria to embrace the fight against terrorism. So what I will say is, I'm calling on each and every Nigerian to identify with the cause against terrorists and become a stakeholder in the fight against terror. Thank you very much.
Well, and it is on that note we'll leave this conversation and thank our guests very much for being here. Brigadier General Samaila Uba, Director, Defense Information, thank you very much.
Tha you very much. It was a nice time with you.
Brigadier General Yusuf Ali, Coordinator, Operation Safe Corridor, thank you.
It's my pleasure, sir. Thank you very much.
And for Brigadier General Sani Kukashika Usman MNI, former Director, Army Public Relations, it's always a pleasure for you to join these conversations, and we appreciate your contributions. to this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be part of the conversation.
Right. And to you, all those who called in, who joined the conversation, we thank you for staying with us. Next week, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stover. Bye for now.